Do you have a lot of minis? Like, not enough space for all those minis? Do you sometimes struggle at getting them to your next game? Because brother, same. When it comes to finding space for all of my models, I can find it challenging. Fortunately for you, I've made every mistake so that you don't have to. My name's Devin, and this is my soapbox. There are many different types of ways to display or store your minis, but some of them are more expensive, or some of them are just bigger, or sometimes your models just don't fit in them in the first place. My goal is to run some pros and cons of all the types of storage to help guide you so that you don't make the same mistakes that I did. As the gaming industry is getting bigger and miniature wargaming is getting larger, all of these options are coming in. It seems like every time I'm at my local store, they're always like, there's a new thing. There's always a new item or a new type of display or a new type of storage for minis. And these can oftentimes be incredibly expensive, frankly. I'm talking a couple $100s. It's not uncommon to see that. I mean, the hobby isn't cheap in the first place, but also, if I'm going to be spending this much money, I want to make sure that it works for me. I tried to do some budget options earlier on, I tried other stuff, and it just didn't work. So the things I'm going to be talking about today are foam cases and magnets. You can find both of these at your local gaming store, not GW stores. For the industry leader, it's a surprise how bad they can make their cases. All right, of the two options, we're starting with foam cases. First things first, they tend to be cheaper than the other options. They are also the safest option when it comes to traveling because you can drop them. I've dropped them. And then on top of that, the only downside to these are going to be a little bit bulkier when it comes to storage. But anyways, the first option you're going to see is Pluck Foam. This is the most accessible foam you can find. Like, you can go to your local store and you can buy it right there on the spot. And then you can pluck the foam out right there on the spot and then fit your models into it. It is the most accessible. You can find it, you can buy it, and it is the cheapest thing that you can afford. It is cool. You can fit it perfectly to your models. If you have a weird shaped model or there's some overhang, you can actually pluck it out to where it fits. I have done this for my Acastus class knight. I have him in 4 pieces because he's massive. I don't know how I was supposed to store that. If you drop him, he will fall apart into a million pieces. I can effectively say I have dropped him in his bag and he didn't break. Now the downside is it is tougher to swap models out. Because you are putting in specific sizes, let's say half of one sheet of them is fit for a unit and it's split, you'll have to mix and match, which can be quite challenging. You will find yourself bringing more and more bags of models that you're not using because it's easier just to take more of them, it's light and it's safe, than it is to try to pluck models out and then jam them in the square hole that they're not supposed to go inside of. Now the other side is like the custom foam. This is usually a little bit more expensive, but it is perfect for your army if you know what you've got. My buddy has it for the Votann or the Leagues of Votann because that's his one army and they don't have a huge selection. So he has all of the perfectly primed little slots and it works for him because there's not much more to his army. Someone like myself cannot do it because, oh boy. The good side of this is that although you are on the foam side, so you have not as many models per square foot, it's more efficiently packed than if you were to go the Pluck Foam route, because they are machining it directly where you want to. For some folks who have exactly what models they want and they're just looking to store a certain amount and then take them to your local store, I think this is a perfectly good option. However, someone like myself who has a bunch of models, they're all kit bashed to hell, having an exact cutout won't work well for what I need. After trying to jam my models into spots that don't even fit, I have one thing I'd like to say. I would not recommend foam for a Chaos player. Spikes, oh my god, the spikes, the little spikes, the big spikes, there's so many goddamn spikes. I have broken models, I have broken spears, I have one dead dude because his arm has come off 4 times and not enough super glue can patch it in this moment. Whew. If you're just a regular Imperium player, it's gonna be fine. There's no spikes on those guys. It's not gonna be an issue. Why would it be an issue? Magnets, magnetizing, magnetized models. On average, they tend to be more expensive than the foam. Not excessively more expensive, just more expensive. There are different pricing points and there's ways to budget it. Also, this is moderately good for traveling. It's not as safe as foam is. However, it does do the job. I've taken my models to the Las Vegas Open. I take it to my local store just down the road. I can say, however, for the love of God, do not drop it. The models, although well affixed to the plate, enough of a jostle will send them flying. It happens. And then finally, the reason I have moved over to magnets specifically, it is the best storage per square foot. I know that sounds dumb, but at this point, I'm sitting at like 12,000 points of Chaos Space Marines, and I have a Thunderhawk, goddammit. And frankly, I don't even know where to put it. It doesn't fit in it's at my office. It's sitting at my office. I don't have space for it here. It's too big. All right. The first type of magnet I'm going to be talking about is like your homemade box. Going to your local Walmart, grabbing a plastic box, putting down some form of metal or magnetic sheet down onto it, and then magnetizing your minis to that. It is in fact the cheapest option. It is the most effective way to do it at a budget. It does everything. You know what it doesn't do? It doesn't tell you what the right type of magnetic sheet you should put at the bottom. This is the first thing I started with when I was getting into hobby. I was thinking, this is the cheapest option, clearly. And it was. Unfortunately, I seem to have missed the message from science class where not all metal was magnetic. When I went to Home Depot, I bought a metal sheet that wasn't fully magnetic. So when I put my models on it, they didn't stick to it. I thought it was the magnets that were the problem and not the metal sheet that I applied. So after using it for a year and being frustrated, I just threw the whole thing out and then switched to foam. And that's what brings me to where I am now. I went from my own homemade magnetic box to foam back to magnets. The big reason I stayed with foam for so long was because it was the best way to deal with chaff. I found myself just taking my handfuls of cultists and throwing them into like a bin of it, and that worked really well. Eventually, I moved to what I consider my barrel of monkeys, where I found this tea canister, and I just threw all of them inside of it. It fits about 80 models in. I then magnetized the bottom of the tin, and then I placed that inside my tray. It's dumb, it's kind of funny. The models don't get too beaten up, but mind you, they die by the handful. I'm not worried about their paint jobs. Another small problem that I noticed was that any spikes or chaos models specifically had a tough time going into the foam, so I moved away from the foam. The thing I like most about the magnets is that I have more space. In fact, the amount of space that I had before, one of these bags is about the same size or roughly the same size as one of the boxes, and it took up about 1,800 points, give or take, but that would mean I would need to bring 2 bags to the game store in order to play my game of Warhammer. Eventually, a buddy of mine got the box from Tabletop Stronghold, and I just wanted to check it out, and he loved it. So I then moved over, bought my first box just to see if I liked it, and then have made the full transition away from foam back to magnets. The magnetic cases come in multiple varieties. You have the MDF, which is the wood composite that has been laser cut. It tends to be on the cheaper side. The downside is it's a little more heavy. On the other hand, you have plastic cases with the metal inserts as well. Those are just fine. The only difference is I find them to be a little more expensive, and the MDF is good enough for my needs. In fact, one of those boxes houses thousands of points of models. I am able to store more models now than I was before, while also not having any issues. The only downside is, one time I was driving to my store to get a game in, I was on the freeway, something happened where I had to brake really quickly and I didn't fully secure my box. It just jostled and hit the front of my glove box down at the passenger side seat. A couple of the models rattled around. Nothing was broken, but it does have the issue, if any impact comes its way, the models are going to have an issue on the inside, whereas the foam is the safer route when it comes to travel. Overall, I think an argument can be made between foam or magnets. Both work. I think it's the safer choice when it comes to keeping your models intact while you're traveling. It just is the best for impact. Now, if you're looking for a storage unit, I would 100% suggest using something with magnets. The magnets are able to sardine your models a whole lot more specifically. You will be able to pack in more models into one small area. I know that having too many minis is a joke in our hobby. However, the issue might just be they're not being stored super well. If you have any opinions, or you think I missed something, or you think that I am full of it, please let me know. I'm always learning about this, and every step of the way, I only learn by what other people show me. Anyways, my name's Devin, and I'm gonna take a step off my soapbox now. Peace.